Let's now take a look at the newspaper headlines, and I'll start with the Daily Nation. Let's get it loaded up. Here it is already. And the top story is 10 counties to decide winner. Let's zoom into this one and get some detail on what it's all about. Now I can see Mike Sonko, their man with 9 lives. We did bring that report on the court clearing him to contest the Mombasa gubernatorial seat. And Mike Kyoko Mbuvi Sonko, the former Nairobi governor who was kicked out of office in 2020 under a cloud of graft accusations, is handed a lifeline by the courts and could now be the next Mombasa governor. And on to the top story, 10 counties that will determine who takes the trophy home on August the 9th. And they are Mombasa, Tana River, Nakuru, Trans Nzoia, Bungoma, Vihiga, Narok, Samburu, Marsabit, and Isiolo. New InfoTrack poll indicates that Raila has maintained his lead against Ruto with a 6-point gap at 43%. Here he is. And with Ruto at 37%. Kenya Kwanza have dismissed said opinion polls as not indicative of where the voters lie. And I can see the 10 counties that apparently will decide who takes the trophy home, according to the Daily Nation, have been highlighted in red on the front page of the Daily Nation. Let's take a look at the top here. And Jubilee scored below average on human rights. New report by the civil society finds that the current administration suppressed fundamental human rights and freedoms in the last 10 years. They tell us that story is on page 13. So let's open up and get deeper into those stories. My teacher, the rapist next door, man arrested for defiling teenager in Nairobi. The man is married and has 2 children, one aged 15 and the other 7. The man brainwashed my girl completely. She believes what they're doing is perfectly normal. A disturbing report there. And young raptor, this is about a bird, the African crowned eagle at Nairobi National Park. Young raptor now rescued by African crowned eagle, survival still shaky. Wait, young raptor now rescued, but African crowned eagle survival still shaky. And I'm told, I can read here that the bird was airlifted from Nyeri to Soisambu with the Kenya Bird of Prey Trust fueling the aircraft. Matters conservation there. And on to politics on page 4. Raila has abandoned you, Ruto tells Western voters. Ruto challenges Raila to tell voters what he has done for them in return for their support. We want to journey together with Western. Our rivals do not have your interests at heart. That statement attributed to Deputy President William Ruto. And here is Uhuru Kenyatta. President Kenyatta greets residents of Sukuta in Samburu County yesterday. Raila is the best bet for the country. And on the right, Gachagua flees rally as Azimio and Kenya Kwanza youth battle. Deputy President William Ruto's running mate Rigathi Gachagua was yesterday whisked to safety after rival groups engaged in a stone-throwing match during a campaign rally in Meru. That is on page 5 of the Daily Nation. Page 6, Raila, Ruto stands no chance in Coast. Forays made by the Deputy President are inconsequential, says Azimio chief, as Coast has always voted for me. I can see him there. And vote hunt. Azimio leaders meet Muslim clerics in Ukunda, Kwale County. Earlier in the day, Raila Odinga and his running mate, Martha Karua, met Muslim leaders at Diani Reef Hotel in Ukunda for a breakfast meeting where the clerics promised to support him. In return, the Azimio leader said they would allocate more seats in government for the Muslim community. Odinga said he was willing to help bring the cost of living down by reducing the prices of basic goods. We'll be getting deeper into that conversation on the cost of living, the cost of basic goods, and more generally hear from the farmers what is the issue. And that poll by InfoTrack, battlegrounds, 10 counties that will determine who wins a presidential contest. This is the InfoTrack Chief Executive Officer Angela Ambilo during a press briefing at the company's offices in Lavington, Nairobi yesterday. A nation analysis of the rallies Ruto team and Raila camp have held in the past month shows heavy focus on these regions whose vote will tilt the polls. This report by Collins Omulo and Onyango Konyango. That is on right, and that was on page 7. Page 8, cry for justice. Ruth Waithera and her mother are calling for speedy investigations into the incident. Which incident? Survivor of police shooting. Nobody wanted to help me. They were chasing criminals and shot her and another girl who succumbed to injuries. A quote here by said Ruth Waithera, I saw her bleeding and writhing in pain after she was shot. That is before I noticed that I also had been shot. That report by Marcy Kosgei. And if you want more detail, do purchase your copy of the Daily Nation. And at the top, you will recall that we had a report from Amnesty that President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration has fallen short of maintaining human rights. Okay, KCAA bullish on air travel as pandemic effects wane. 2,300 public primary schools to host junior secondary learners. That is, and I can see here my network. Higher Education Expo and Career Fair. Allow me to just give this a mention. And they will be in Nyanza and Western on the 15th and 16th of July. Free entry, so one to definitely attend if you're from there. And interesting title here, How Sonko Got His Groove Back. should prove an interesting read. And here's what I was making reference to earlier. Civil society's below average rating of Uhuru's 10-year rule. Amnesty International cited extrajudicial killings and forced disappearances, violations of Kenyans' rights to privacy. Parliament, of course, was intended to debate that Huduma bill yesterday, I believe, but it was postponed after it was the special sitting was not gazetted. Wait to see if that sitting will eventually take place. And here we get into county matters and opinions. Let's now take a look at what is on the Business Daily front page. Let's zoom in. Sanctions block 13 billion shilling Russia exports to Kenya. The Russia-Ukraine conflict knocked off 13.3 billion in imports from Moscow in the 3 months to March. Forcing Kenya to turn to expensive sources of wheat, fertilizer and seed that helps drive inflation to a 58-month high. And latest data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics shows that the sharpest decline happened in the 3 months to March as troops from Moscow marched into Ukraine, with imports from Russia dropping 66% from 9.9 billion to 6.6 billion. European markets and the U.S. have imposed sanctions against Russia in the wake of its invasion of Ukraine in February. Like I said, we'll get into this. Is this Russia-Ukraine conflict contributing to the state of the price of basic commodities? State relaxes yellow maize importation. Arrival, let me see, animal feed manufacturers have got a reprieve after the Ministry of Agriculture announced it will allow shipments of processors whose consignments of yellow maize imports will arrive in the country past the initial set deadline of October. That is on page 20. And I can see at the top here, we have an opinion from Bitangen Demo, Africa's poor cutoff from carbon markets. And we have something on agriculture, food prices surge, calls for transformative farming. We are getting into that in a moment. Innovation, getting stakeholders to buy into digital transformation. I can see Polycarp Igathe is at it again. That is the picture on the front page of the Business Daily. Igathe hits the road, and a Nairobi gubernatorial candidate on a Jubilee ticket, Polycarp Igathe, distributes copies of his manifesto to motorists along Uhuru Highway in Nairobi yesterday. Seems I didn't. I wish I'd gotten my copy of his manifesto from him. Would have been quite the experience. Former NHIF CEO fails to stop 1.1 billion shilling graft case, and Safaricom extends repayment of 47 billion shilling credit facilities. Interesting. Safaricom has restructured $400 million worth of short-term credit facilities into medium-term loans in a process that's all part of the debt converted into local currency to ease pressure on cash flows and reduce foreign exchange risks. The company had borrowed the cash last year from a consortium of lenders, including Standard Chartered Bank Kenya, to make its contribution to the payment for the $850 million fee for a telecoms license in Ethiopia.